Okay, we're working on another example where we're going to use the scale factor for us to find the area. So they tell us that an interior designer creates a scale drawing of her client's kitchen. The kitchen has a length of 15 feet, a width of 20 feet, and the drawing is using a scale factor of 1/30th. What is the area of the scale drawing in square inches? So let me point out just a couple things before we get started. The first thing is we notice that they gave us the actual dimensions and the scale factor is 1/30th. So remember, the scale factor stands for K. That's your constant of proportionality. And what this is telling me is that we have reduced it. Okay, so let's go on and first write out our formula so that we understand what we're trying to do. So remember, it's going to be scale over the actual is going to be equal to K. And when we talk about the area, remember we look at the squared scale. We're looking at the actual side being squared, and K is also going to be squared. Okay, so that's just something for us to keep in mind. The first thing that we might want to do, this is one method. We can convert our feet into inches of the actual kitchen. So let's work with one side. We'll start off with the length, which is 20 feet. And so we're going to convert it to inches. So first things first, remember those proportional relationships. We're talking about feet and inches. And then from there, we're going to write what we know about feet and figure out what we need to know about inches. So the length is actually 20 feet. Okay. We know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. And then I'm going to plug in this 20 under the feet. And then when we don't know something, remember, we just fill it in with an X. So I'm going to use the fish method in this one to solve for it. So remember those 3 steps when we talk about the fish method. We're going to multiply, divide, and then provide the answer. So multiply, I'll use different colors. Divide, and see if I can find one more color. Answer. All right, so when we're looking to use the fish method, remember we're going to look at the side that has the variable, look at what piece of information we have, and we're working our way towards what we don't know. So I'm over here on the variable. I see that I have the 20, so I'm going to start there for my multiply. So I'm going to go down. After that, I will divide. And then I'm going to finally provide the answer here. All right, so multiply 20 times 12. 2 times 12 is 24, so that's 240. And then we're going to divide, so we'll say 240 divided by 1, and then that gives me 240, so that my answer is 240 inches. Okay. All right, so we have the inches for the length, so we'll need that. Now let's go see if we can find the information for the width. So the width, they give it to us as 15 feet. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to convert that into inches. So the 2 units that we're talking about is inches and feet. I know that 12 inches is the same thing as 1 foot. So that's on my side that I know. What I'm trying to find out is inches because they gave me feet. So 15 here, put an X in there. Now I'm going to use the swing method for this one. So the swing method, I'll go this way. I see that I'm going from smaller to larger, which means I'm going to multiply. And remember what I do to the bottom, I do to the top if I'm going in the same direction. To determine which way we need to go, we start with what we know and work towards what we don't know. So I am going in the same direction, left to right. So I'm going to multiply by the same thing here. and 12 times 15. So 12 times 15 gives me 240, I believe. No, 180. Okay. So X is going to be equal to 180 inches. Okay. So now for us to find out what the area is for the scale, I'm sorry, for the scale factor for the area of the excuse me, the area of this using the scale factor, we're going to go down here and we will plug in, we need to find out the scale, the area of the scale. So the scale was, I'll just draw a little kitchen here. This will be our scale and this will be our actual. So we'll call this our scale. This will be the actual. And all we're doing is just plugging in that information that we found out. So we have our inches here. And actually, guess what? We didn't do anything but just found out the area of the actual kitchen. So anyways, we have, this was 15 feet. This is 20 feet, which is the same thing as 20 feet is the same thing as 240 inches. 15 feet is the same thing as 180 inches. All right, and so remember, to find the area of a rectangular shape, we just need to multiply the length times the width. So area is equal to length times width. In this case, we have 240 times 180. So we'll use our calculator, figure out what we get on that. So 240 times 180 gives me 43,200. And what's our unit? Square inches. All right, so this is the actual here. We have that. So the actual area is going to be 43,200 square inches. And so now we need to figure out what the scale is. Is that what they asked us? No, the area. We need to find out the area of this the scale. So let's plug in what we know. And a sheet of paper. All right. So we're going to use that same formula that we had before. I'll put it right there so we can see it. Remember, we're looking at the scale, which is squared. The actual amount needs to also be squared. And then K also needs to be squared. All right. So we have, which information did we have? We had the area of the actual item. So I'm going to replace that with 43,200. I do not know what the scale is, but we know it needs to be squared. And then we need to also have K squared. Do we know what the scale factor is? Yes. They told us that the scale factor is 1/30, but this is not squared. So we got to make sure that we square it. Remember that. All right. So what we need to do now is, remember, isolate the variable, have X by itself. I see that X is not by itself because it's being divided. And so what we need to do then is, let's multiply both sides. My 43,200, 43,200, and I didn't finish this up, so let me finish that. 1/30 squared is basically saying 1 times 1, which gives me 1, and 30 times 30, which gives me 900. So that's what that would be. So our scale, the area of the scale over the actual is going to give you k squared. And I don't know why I put actual. We already have that. So we'll replace that with the 43,200. All right. And so then what we were doing is we were multiplying both sides by 43,200. Okay. And then from previous examples, remember I can use cross canceling to cancel that out. I'm left with X or whatever it is that we're looking for. So I'm looking for the scale. We're going to just replace that with X. Right. And we know it's going to be squared because everything else has been squared. Right. So now we have 43,200, and we're going to divide that by 900. So 43,200. I'm going to use division, but you could also use multiplication. So you could actually multiply it by 1 ABC 900. Okay, and then you'll still come out with the correct answer, which is going to be 48. And remember that X represented area, so square. So square inches. And in this scale, I should put this was square inches. That's what that represented. Okay. All right, so our answer for this one is going to be 48 square inches.